Yes, namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar on Vedic chanting. Our speakers are the amazing Sri Aswaji and HUA's own Srimati Jyoti Suravirjala. Well, we're all part of HUA, but Jyotiji is also a staff member and a graduate student at HUA, so we are glad to have her on today's webinar as a panelist. Rajibji from Bangladesh, thank you for joining. Um, Hope you're doing well. Hari Iyer from Mumbai, Bharat. Glad to have you on. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from, and I can give you a quick shout out. Namaste, everyone, for today's webinar. I am Ankur Patel, Director of Outreach, zooming in from Los Angeles. So today's webinar on Vedic chanting, we know the practice of Sanatana Dharma encompasses two vital dimensions: Jnana, Ganda, knowledge, and Karma Kanda, application, with Veda mantra chanting acting as the bridge between them. So Bhagwan Adi Shankarya emphasizes the importance of accurate chanting and understanding of mantras. And in this course that we're going to talk about today covers both. And so in this webinar, what we're going to do is introduce the course, but we're going to explain and discuss with participants not only the meaning and intonation of a few mantras, but also explore their application in nitya, in daily life, and naimittika, in occasional, sometimes mantras are used occasionally, and gamya, desire-driven rituals. So we're going to differentiate all of them. We're going to talk a little bit about them. And then we're going to, as well as during vratas and utsavas, right? When do we do chanting? Why is it necessary? What does it do? And so in this webinar, we're going to have Shri Aswaji, who's our faculty, and I'll give him an introduction shortly, and Jyotiji, Srimati Jyoti Suravirjala, talking about how this affects them, how they've applied it, and where they apply it. Who else has put in the chat? We've got Teresa from Arkansas. Glad to have you here. Shridarji from Sydney, Australia. Welcome, welcome. Devendraji from Rathore in Kuwait. Oh no, Devendra Rathore from Kuwait. Yes. Glad to have you, Devendraji. All right. And if you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from, and I can give you a shout out shortly. So now that we've kind of talked about Vedic chanting, what we're going to get into, let me introduce Sri Aswaji. He's amazing. I'll start with that. But he's a retired system analyst from the Franklin County Board of Development Disabilities in Columbus, Ohio. He has an academic background in physics, in mathematics, law, and computer science, but he's here because he is a Vedic scholar, has had training in Sanskrit from his grandfather, Sri MSS Shastri, Vidwan of Mysore court. He also had received formal training in Vedas for 9 years from Acharya Yajurveda, professor at the Sanskrit College in Bangalore. And Sri Aswaji has been teaching Veda and Vedanta to not just several students, I think it's now hundreds and maybe thousands of students since 1995 across the United States. He teaches at mandirs, he has presentations, and we are glad to have him as a faculty at Hindu University of America. He's teaching courses, he's hosting retreats, and one line that I always use, and I think it explains partially why he's so popular, why we like him so much. He's one of these folks who can take a shloka, a mantra, and explain word by word its definition, why it's used, some catch phrases, not necessarily catchphrases, but how it's applied and the nuance between the translation and how it's sometimes mistranslated. So Sri Aswaji is one of these wonderful people who can actually apply our knowledge in our daily lives. And this is one of the reasons why he's so popular, also because he's a wonderful person and very wonderful to be around. And then let me introduce Srimati Jyoti Suravirjala. She's actually a graduate student currently pursuing her MA PhD in Hindu Studies at Hindu University of America. She mentioned she's from Lathrop in the Bay Area in California, and she's passionate about traditions. She's part of this, like a lot of us, to understand Hindu texts and traditions better. That's her specific interest. And to pass on the legacy of our gurus and acharyas to the next generations. Her interests are landscape, photography, poetry, painting. She's also the editor for HUA blog. So if you have a blog, that you want out there. You got to get it to Jyoti ji, and we'll see if we can get it on the blog. But Jyoti ji is a pleasure to work with. She's one of our core members on the HUA team and does a lot of behind the scenes and hopefully more in front of the camera working out there, stuff as well going forward. Thank you for joining us today. A few more people, Vani from India, Simranjit from Delhi. Glad to have you join us today. And with that introduction, I have that little poll going. If you didn't fill out the poll, let us know if you been on a HOA webinar or a different event before, if you've taken a course, just, yeah, there you go. So one or two more people. Let me end the poll and share the results so we can see. We got some first timers, we got some regulars, we've got quite a few people who've attended before. We've got some people who've taken a course. We've got 6 people who are enrolled in programs, 12 people who are considering courses, and 8 people who are not interested in courses as well. Enjoy the webinar. Enjoy this knowledge that we are here to share as Hindu University of America, making it accessible. Thank you all for being here. Shishri Asoji, let me hand it to you to get us started.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm also delighted that all of you in the assembly are here from all over the world, in fact. And that's wonderful. For some of you, it is late in the night. For some of you, early in the morning. But thank you for taking the time to be present in this webinar. And my special thanks to Ankurji, who has always conducted the webinars with such elegance and with precision. Thank you, Ankurji. And I'm also very, very happy that Srimati Jyoti is here. In fact, we work together quite a lot. And whenever I go to the Bay Area, I will always make an effort to make sure that I meet Jyoti and her family. So thank you very much for having me today. The There are two parts to this. The general concept of Vedic chanting, we will talk about that, and then we will focus on the upcoming course in the winter of 2025, which is a part of the Rudra worship called the Chamaka Prashna. So there is a statement in our scriptures, in the Shastra, Namakam Chamakam Chaiva Purusha Suktam Chayadviduhu Mahadevan Chatatthulyam Tanme Manas Shiva Sankalpam Astu. The Me Manaha Shiva Sankalpam Astu. So the meaning is, may I always have auspicious resolves and auspicious thoughts. And for the sake of getting auspicious thoughts, because the natural tendency of the mind, as the Yoga Shastra says, Chittanadi Nama Vahati Papaya. The nature of the mind is like a river which always goes down the gradient unless it is controlled. So it Vahati Papaya, it always flows towards the negative qualities, but we have to make it into a positive kalyana quality. And for that, we need an auspicious mind. And the auspicious mind is studied and instructed in 3 important Vedic texts. One is called Namakam, or the Rudradhyaya, which comes from the Krishna Yajurveda, one part of the Yajurveda, which is part of the broader perspective of the 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. And the second part of this is called Chamaka, and the third part is called Purusha Sukta. So a study of all these 3, I am indebted to Sri Aurobindo, who gave us a clear conception of saying there are 3 steps in acquisition of knowledge. The first is we have to know about the fundamental reality. We call it as tattva, tatatva, thatness of everything. Then the second thing is this reality has to have words to express that. And finally, we also, the reality, tattva, and the meaning, that is artha, something has to connect it, the link. So there are three parts to that: fundamental reality, the words used to express it, and the link that connects reality and its meaning. Then there will be a spiritual experience. So our courses on the Veda and Vedic chanting focus on all these three. All our mantras actually point to the absolute reality. The mantras are the words that express it, and our study is the link that connects reality with the meaning. And so, in this sense, the study of the Rudra accomplishes all these three. And then we have created a syllabus. Obviously, it is not possible to cover everything in one quarter. So, we are taking it one step at a time. We started with the introduction to Vedic chanting. In the introduction to Vedic chanting, we started with the Mangalacharana, that is invoking the auspicious. Then we have the second part called Lagunyasa, which will be happening in soon. And the third, in the fall 24 quarter, just one more class is there. This week we will be completing that. It is the Rudra Prashna. Then the next quarter, we are doing the Chamaka Prashna. In the introduction to Vedic chanting, we have done the Purusha Sukta and the Durga Sukta. In the future, we are going to do the Shivopasana mantra and a study of the 108 names of Shiva based on an excellent commentary in Sanskrit by Nilakanta Dikshita, an extraordinary scholar. And we will also study the 10 Shanti mantras, the Dasha Shanti mantras. So the overall scope of Vedic chanting course as of now is Introduction to Vedic Chanting, and specifically addressed to Shiva is Mangalacharana, Lagunyasa, Rudra Prashna, Chamaka Prashna, Purusha Sukta, Durga Sukta, Shivopasana mantra, Shiva Ashtottara, and the Dasha Shanti mantras. So that is the overall scope of what we will do in these courses. And in the next quarter, we are going to study the Chamaka Prashna. More I will talk about it, about Chamaka Prashna. Probably Jyotiji will have something to say about her own study of Rudra Prashna, which she is right now studying with us.
Namaskaram, Aswat Garu. So I actually started with the first introduction to Vedic chanting course that Ashwat Garu mentioned, in which we started with Mangalacharana, and then we went ahead and learned 10 suktas, which includes Purusha Sukta, Narayana Sukta, Devi, Durga Suktam, Medha Suktam, Sri Suktam, a lot of these. And then now this past quarter, I am enrolled in his Rudra Prashna course, where I'm still learning. I have not learned, just to be clear. But the first course, it helped me in first, just the chanting itself gave a lot of positive energy. I am doing something that energizes me. It has a positive effect on my day. That's a small part of it. But this time I went to India. Last month I was in India for a couple of weeks, and we had some rituals there. And as the priests were chanting, 10, 12 priests were chanting, I was able to recognize the chants. I was able to relate to what was told to me in the class. I was able to associate my rudimentary knowledge, theoretical knowledge of those chants with what they were doing and how they were doing, and I could imbibe more. So I think that distinction, where these till I did this course, I was still listening to those chants. I was still enjoying them, but without understanding. This was the first time where I not only recognized them, I knew what they were saying, I knew what was being said. I know because I have been taught the meanings, and I was able to repeat them in my mind, because it was a public setting. There are places where no, if we start repeating, it doesn't, it may not be in sync with them. So I was not doing that publicly, but I was repeating them in my mind and feeling and enjoying it, more than enjoying it, experiencing those mantras a lot more than I did in the past. So that's my biggest, so far, that's my biggest takeaway from the course that I did from Vedic chanting. I am still in the process of learning Rudra Prashna. I attended like a couple of classes, and then because, as I mentioned, I was traveling, I had to miss. So I'm still in the process of catching up with those classes. But the experience I had with my first class tells me what I can expect and what I am going to continue expecting the next class also, which is why I'm enrolling in the next one too. There's another thing for like I mentioned, we learned Devi Suktam, Durga Suktam in the Vedic chanting class. I did not know that this has been a part of the background of many videos. Till now, I did not have that recognition. Now that I know the mantras, I am realizing how profound and how widespread, deeply rooted it is in our culture. We don't even realize how much our Vedic mantras actually have permeated our entire culture behind in dance forms, in our media, in our drama. The background when it plays, we don't realize what is happening. It's just some music. But now we are able. I was able to recognize that, and that was eye-opening thing for me.
Ankurji, if in our assembly, if there are anybody else who has taken the Vedic chanting courses, either with us or outside, and then if they can share what is their experience about learning the chanting.
Yeah, so if you have taken a class with Sri Eswaji before, please raise your hand or make a mention in the chat window. If you have a question, you can start putting those in the Q&A box and we can pick them up. This Vedic chanting class is not part of the MA in Hindu Studies, but it is part of the certificate program in Hindu Studies. Alekhya ji, thank you for asking. Any other previous students, just ping me, raise your hand, and then we can have you share how you've been able to apply this information. If you've taken a course with Shri Eswaji, Premaji, I got iPhone 9. I don't know who that is. Maybe you can continue.
Excuse me. My name is Prema Hari Shankar, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I have taken many classes. I've been a student of Sri Ashwatji for about 20 years now. So, I have learned many Upanishads and many Vedas, chanting, and I've been in touch with him for a long time. So I have learned um, Durga Suktam recently, and I can recite it by heart. And I just cannot say how much peace of mind it gives you when you chant it. If one mantra that I learned could give you so much happiness, imagine what others can do. That's all I am not a very studious student or anything. I come and go, I travel a lot. So, but the classes I attend, and afterwards, every hour of a class requires at least 3-4 hours of practice for you to be able to chant well. So I realized a lot of things by attending these classes. So I would recommend these classes to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Prema. You have been a very diligent student, one of the most consistent students, and you have
Thank you.
opened your home and your heart for not just me, but several of our classes. And so thank you for our over a decade of 2 decades of friendship. Thank you. So a word about God. How we conceive the idea of God. And here the idea, we will focus on Shiva. Shiva is also called Rudra. We can also call him as Ishvara. So what is this concept that we are trying to understand by chanting the mantras, by knowing the meaning of the mantras, by going to the fundamental reality of the mantras? It is a recognition that this Shiva is very much within us. Therefore, our scriptures use the word Shiva is Antaryami. Antare tishtan yamayati iti antaryami. Those of you, who know Sanskrit can relate to this etymology. Antare tishtan. residing within me, Yamayati, he controls everything that I do, and therefore Shiva or Rudra or Ishvara we're talking is an antaryami or an inner controller. So this concept was picked up later on in the Gita also, and Gitacharya says, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutanam yantrarudhena mayaya. There is a beautiful shloka, verse in the Bhagavad Gita. So the purpose of this course is, while we are chanting and we are also understanding the meaning of the mantras, it is to recognize that this antaryami is in us. This Ishvara is very much within us. So we must be able to feel the presence of the antaryami. And then this is as a indweller in an individual living being, sentient living being. But at the same time, he is also the sustainer of everything that is existing in the universe. Because if I have Ishvara as the indweller, number one, and number two, if the scripture is telling that there is only one and no second, there is a mantra which says, Eko eva rudraha na dvitiya ayatastu. There is only one God, na dvitiya ayatastu. There is no two. So therefore, many things that we come across, for example, earth or air or water, or sun, moon, the stars and the various elements, in all of them, these mantras lead us to the experience that there is this antaryami. This antaryami, that is who residing in each one of these myriad things, he regulates. And therefore, we also call him as the truth, Satyam. And because of this truth called Shiva, this truth called Ishvara, Satyena Vayuravati, because of that the wind blows. Satyena Adityo Rochate, because of that Antaryami, the sun is shining. So in other words, it is this realization, this understanding through the words of the Veda, the reality, as I mentioned 3 points, through the words of the Veda, to understand the reality that nothing can be what it is without this antaryami. So that is the most important transformation that this study of these mantras reveal. So again, I would welcome you if at any time in your meditation, in your contemplation, in your experience of the world, if you have ever felt this unity that is sustaining the diversity, I would like to hear from you. Ankurji, we can open that for anyone's feedback.
Wonderful. I see Sitaraman Ravipati, I kind of asked, but I did not see that you came up. Let me ask again. There you go.
Yeah, Ashwath Garu has such a influence on so many of us. It's a life-changing, great privilege to be his student and continue to be a student, continue to benefit from him. Mahabhagyam. Thank you.
Nice. Life-changing. You can't be more profound than that. Glad to have you share, Sitaramanji. So, one of the things that people often ask about is, how do I get into it? I don't know Devanagari script. I don't know Sanskrit. Can I just start? How do people start? Where can people get plugged in? Are there prerequisites? All that kind of stuff. So I know you are very welcoming, and whatever class, almost any class you're teaching, anyone can join. But if you want to just talk about that pathway and getting on.
The beauty of Vedic learning is that it is not a linear study. It is not where we say, okay, you have got to start here. And then unless you do that, you cannot go to the next step. It is not like that. You can pick up the thread anywhere. So let us say you join a course and then you have absolutely no idea what this even the word Veda means. So the way in which the courses are designed is uh, we'll gently keep introducing all the fundamental concepts in pretty much in every class so that a person will not feel left out just because his or her classmates are a little ahead. It doesn't mean that you are anyhow behind, because even if you learn one single mantra to that extent, you have experienced it. And I see a hand raised by Gupta ji.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, namaste. So I'm speaking from Boston. I just wanted to say something what you said before about chanting. So, I have never taken a formal class in chanting, but being from Benares and grown up, reading the Gita and basically a scientist by background, my belief and experience is that when you chant, you change the vibrations around you, because basically when you chant, it's the sound waves. And I think I read something a while ago that the ancient Indians, Hindus believed the same thing, that like for example, this is for like astrology, like, they say, oh, if you have a bad Saturn, then you should chant these shlokas for Shani, Shani is Saturn. So when you chant that, it changes your luck, things like that. So chanting definitely, of course, it makes you feel good as well, but it changes your vibrations around you in the air. So this is what I've felt for a long time. So thank you.
The reason is that chanting bypasses the intellect. Many times when we do need the buddhi, we do need the intellect for processing information. But then a lot of time, intellect can become a barrier. So in fact, there is a beautiful shastra which says that logic is a big barrier, because a person who can speak more eloquently can completely shatter all the logical arguments that I am presenting. Tarkopya pratishtha. Then uh, suppose we start asking people, what's your opinion about this? What's about the world? What is God? Is there one or not? Then we will get contradictory and confusing answers. Instead of clarity, we get even more difficulty. So what is the shortcut? What is the best way to experience reality? And that is where chanting comes into being. Even if you don't know the meaning of the mantra, it bypasses the intellect and it transforms your mind. It transforms your heart. It gives you a beautiful experience. One of my favorite metaphors is when I have got headache, uh, the doctor says, take Tylenol. So I take Tylenol and headache goes away. I don't need to know the pharmacology of the tablet. So the two things are at play here. One is there is the physician who prescribes the medicine for me, and there is the medicine itself about which I need not know, I just consume it. So this is what happens in Vedic chanting. There is the guru, who is the doctor, who prescribes a mantra, and therefore the mantra actually cures the difficulty of the person. As you mentioned, Shani, there is a problem with Shani, so the astrologer will say you chant this mantra and that problem is mitigated. It is similar to that. It bypasses the intellect. So at some point of time, we have got to surrender to our intellect to experience. And that is what Veda mantras do. So if we ask Ishvara, then we get the things. Now, whenever we get things from Ishvara, now what the upcoming quarter, the Chamaka Prashna, we are going to ask is, I am going to ask you for so many benefits, so many boons, so many material and non-material favors. This set of mantras makes us recognize as to how I should use all the things I have received by the grace of God. And for this, we have got to actually seek the inspiration of the Antaryami, who is right within me. So I don't have to go anywhere. Ask this Antaryami, why am I asking for this? Chamaka Prashna gives the answer. You are entitled to ask for things from the world, but Antaryami says, use them in dharma, yajna, and dana. So we are going to study in the Chamaka Prashna 3 important reasons why we are going to ask for many of the boons. So how do I know that by using them for dharma and then for the sake of acquisition of yajna, merit through yajna, and by sharing it, how do I know? In the Mahabharata, same question was raised by Devi Parvati to her consort Shiva. And then he says, why are you asking people to get all these, giving all these favors? See, that's why he's called Ashutosh. Anyone who asks him, he will actually grant. But ask with bhakti, ask with sincerity. And then he answers, I will bless people with the material and non-material favors asked for 4 reasons. Rakshartham, 1. Mangalartham, 2. Pavitrartham cha bhamini, oh dear, for the sake of Pavitra. And 4th, Lanchanartham cha bhaktanam. 4 beautiful reasons Shiva himself gives to Parvati in the Mahabharata. I bestow all the wealth and all the happiness, all the comfort, all the peace to protect them. Rakshartham. 2. To bring them auspiciousness, Mangalartham. 3. Pavitra means Pavina Trayate iti Pavitram, that which actually removes all the negative things, all the sins is called Pavitra. It also means pure. Pavitrartham. Lanchanartham, just to indicate a person who uses his resources for dharma, yajna, and dana, how peaceful he is. Because ultimately, mental peace is the measure of success in our life. This, even Bhagavad Gita talks about it. Ashantasya kutas sukham. A person who has no peace of mind, there is no comfort. And our sages have created all these shastras only for the sake of getting peace of mind. Shamaya sarva shastrani vihitani manishinaha. Then who is the one who knows everything? One whose mind is calm and peaceful. So to become calm and peaceful, we also need material things. We have to have material comforts. So in the next course, in the winter, we are going to talk about what are all the favors we are going to ask from Shiva. And then we are going to emphasize that these favors we are asking for 3 purposes: dharma, yajna, and dana. Because anything that we don't use for dharma and then jnana and yajna, it becomes a bondage. As Krishna says, Yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karmavantanaha. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse number 9. A beautiful. Therefore, it also, the Chamaka Prashna, which we are going to study, also inspires us to acquire everything only to give away. And this is valid. Again, Krishna asserts, Dharma viruddho bhuteshu karmosmi bharatarshava. All your requests which are not against Dharma, I am the desire. So here is the important transformation of the antaryami into material, tangible benefits. And that transition is what we are going to study in the next quarter, because in the Chamaka Prashna, we have actually prostrated several times to Shiva, and then he has actually appeared before us. The Antaryami has come out and is showing and says, what do you want? And we are asking all these things. So the question is, what are the things you really want? So we will ask for those boons and benefits which are on top of our mind, but they need not necessarily be good for us in the long run. And therefore, in the Chamaka Prashna, we are going to ask for everything that is there in the cosmos to the extent that we can actually manage them. And it also encourages us to do for the sake of yajna. So we have a refrain in the Chamaka Prashna, yajnena kalpatam. Please give me so that I can use it in worship. So those of you who are actually worshipping, praying, and actually enjoying the material benefits accrued from society, please share your ideas about how you look at your possessions, how you look at your wealth. I am including the wealth as material wealth as also the wealth of friends and family that you have acquired. How have you seen them? Have you seen them with this spirit of dharma, yajna, and dana? And then if you have done, what kind of a feedback you have got from these entities? I would like our audience to share if they have any personal insight into this. Welcome.
Nice. Yeah, let's see if we can have some audience, but maybe Jyotiji could share her personal insight on that front. But also, we have a nice request. I think it is about time. Jitu Javeri is asking, maybe you can short chant one mantra and give a flavor for how you approach it and how you share it and how you break it down. So, what do you think?
Yes, wonderful idea. Do you want me to chant or do you want somebody in the assembly to chant?
I think maybe you and Jyotiji, right? Kind of like how
Okay.
you do it in class and you can demonstrate what happens that way.
The
Yeah.
way we do it in the class is, because my class size is quite large. You might have noticed that in our Rudra class, we have 50 plus students. So it is difficult to for everybody to repeat. So what we do is I choose 4 volunteers. I'll ask for 4 volunteers to come forward, and then which means that though 4 volunteers successively will repeat a mantra after me, but at the same time, everybody in the class on mute, they will also be repeating after me. I'll give one demo, for example. Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigam Havamahe. Then one of us in the assembly, Jyotigaru, will actually do that for me. Yeah.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gananam. I would need you to repeat that because it's a new one.
Antva. We can even break it into one word at a time. Gananantva
Om Gananantva
Ganapatigam
Ganapatigam
Havamahe
Havamahe
Kavi
Gananantva Ganapatigam Havamahe
Kavim Kavinam
Kavim Kavinam
Upamashravastamam
Upamashravastvamam
Jeshtarajam
Jeshtarajam
Brahmanam
Brahmanam
Brahmanaspata
Brahmanaspata
Anashranvan
Anashranvan
Bhutibhisida
Hotivisida
Adanam.
Vadanam.
So like this, four of the students will repeat, which means 4 times each mantra is repeated. And then I encourage all the students to record the mantras in their voice and then submit that as an assignment. And to help them further, I will record the mantras in my voice and short clips, no more than 1 minute, 1 to 1 minute 20 seconds each clip, I will share with the class so that they have to learn only small bits and pieces. For example, many of you would be chanting Purnamada, Purnamidam at the end of the, in all rituals for that matter. But what is the correct way to pronounce it? Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So you may hear Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. But generally, we would actually chant Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You can see the subtle difference in the pronunciation. So why do we make sure that the pronunciation is correct? Because the way we pronounce establishes the meaning. This is the connection between reality and meaning. For example, suppose there is a sentence, he is a good man. Now that sentence can be spoken in different styles. And we can say in such a way it gives an opposite meaning. And therefore, we have to make sure that the way of pronunciation is maintained. For example, when you are doing Shanti mantra like Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhetamastu, Ma Vidvishavahai, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There, we are starting our study and asking for harmony between teacher and student. So in the relationship from now onwards to the end of the study, there has to be peace at 3 levels, that is at the elemental level, in spiritual level and emotional level. So it is something to happen in future. So the swara becomes Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We come to Purnamadaha in the end. That is the end of the study. At the end of the study, you have to assert that at the end of the study, I have become peaceful. How do you do that? The same Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, we change the swara or the way in which we pronounce Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, I have become peaceful. I have become peaceful. I have become peaceful. Have Shanti. So this is how in our class we actually um, teach the way of chanting, and then I give a recording, and four of the students constantly repeat in the class, and others do in mute, and they also record their learning and submit it. So that way we ensure that everybody has learned chanting properly and well. So the Chamaka Prashna is, again, as I mentioned, it is for the sake of dharma, yajna, and dana. And another important realization that will happen in the study of the text in our next course is it will also make us understand that everything is there because of this reality inside. We call it as Ishvara. We give it a name so that we can understand. So those of you who have been studying the Upanishads, there is a beautiful Upanishad by name Ishavasya Upanishad, one of the extraordinary Upanishads. If you have not studied, I do encourage you to please study. It's a short Upanishad with just 18 mantras. It starts with a beautiful mantra, Ishavasya Medag Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyan Jagat Tena Tektena Bhunjitha Magridha Kasya Svedhanam. So this is like a great utterance. We call it as a Mahavakya. Number one is we realize with the study that there is an Antaryami, an indweller. We also understand there is an indweller in every object in the universe. The third important thing we learn from the Chamaka Prashna study is this universe, small or big, atomic or cosmic, is entirely because of this indweller. I can enjoy only when he grants it to me. And when he grants it, I will use this in dharma, yajna, and dana so that constantly this Ishvara, who is sacred and desirable, is experienced in every transaction in our life. Say you breathe, you take in breath, that is because of Ishvara. Because all elements are inert in nature. So there is wind blowing, but how is it that air which gets into me actually purifies the blood? How does it happen? That is because of Shiva's presence. That is because of the presence of this reality will be the core understanding of the upcoming course. Ankurji?
Wonderful. Another question came up. Who is it asking? Just asking if you get the script to chant along with. And I think for myself, seeing the transliteration and all that makes a big difference. And you do provide that. The course is in our learning management system, and you have access to readings and writings and different mantras and whatever you're going to be working on is accessible there. Not just and this is a webinar, so we're not able to share all that information with all of the attendees and make sure that that's going right. So in the course that does happen.
Ashwaji actually not just provides the script in Devanagari and English transliteration, he does it in Tamil and Telugu too. So if people are more comfortable with those scripts, they can use those scripts. Most of our Sanskrit shlokas are available in all of these scripts. So Ashwaji makes it a point to make it available to us in the script we are comfortable in.
We have Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and then I am working with our friends who know Malayalam, so that we can also have Malayalam. And Devanagari script, everybody who knows Hindi or its ancillary languages can do. But if I'm able to find any resources for preparing in Bengali, which has the script is a slightly different script, we will make sure that those are also produced. So I have been telling my students, because I do have students from different language backgrounds, so we will add more languages to our repertoire of mantras.
There was another question, Ashwath Garu, that said, if you could tell the samasa for Antaryami. I think they were asking for the shloka that you had chanted at the beginning of this webinar.
Yes.
Antaryena, yeah.
Rakshartham, Mangalartham, cha Pavitrartham, cha Bhamini, Lanchanartham, cha Bhaktanam, Bhasmadattam, Maya Pura. This was in the context of the importance of the Vibhuti or the Bhasma. And here we have to take one route to explain this. Bhasma has got the coming from Bhuti or riches. So that is one. The etymology of Antaryami is Antare Tishtan Yamayati. Antare Tishtan, residing in controls. Antare Tishtan Yamayati is the etymology of the word Antaryami. Which was that the sloka that they were asking about?
I think so.
Yeah. There is also, I also quoted another shloka about Shiva Sankalpa. Namakam, Chamakan, Chaiva, Purusha.
I copied that on the chats. I gave it to the audience.
Yes. Then one more quote I gave was from the Taittiriya Aranyaka branch of the Veda. Satyena Vayuravati. Because of truth, wind blows. Satyena Dityorochate. Because of truth, the sun shines. Divi Satyam Vacha Pratishtha. A truthful utterance will be there in the heavens forever. That is the meaning. So this is again another very profound concept. Suppose I tell a lie and that lie dies away. Whereas a statement of truth will remain forever. For example, suppose we say everything in the universe is Brahman, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. This was given to us thousands of years back. But even to this day, it is valid. Yet 2000 years ago, if one person had told a lie to another person, we don't know, because that is lost. Whereas truthful statements always exist forever. Desire is the root cause of misery. When Bhagavan Buddha said that 2500 years ago, it is true. And therefore, Divi Satyam Vacha Pratishtha. So I was quoting this in the context of saying, in my speech and in my acquisition and disposal of all things, if it is driven by this Antaryami, then it becomes an eternal contribution. Again, one of my very favorite questions in my classes is, do you know the name of your father? Yes. Grandfather? Yes. Great-grandfather? Yes. What about your great-great-grandfather? Maybe. But what about your forefather in the 14th century? I don't know. But we know a Vedavyasa, we know a Valmiki, we know a Bhagavan Krishna, we know Rama, even though they lived centuries and centuries past. Why? It is because they used all the resources they had for these three purposes: dharma, yajna, and dana. So that will be the actual undercurrent of philosophy in the entire syllabus that I quoted, starting from Mangalacharana to Introduction to Vedic Chanting, to Rudra Prashna. And then in due course, let us hope that this expands into a full-fledged course where we study the various branches of the Veda. So that in that context, I quoted the Veda mantra from the Taittiriya Aranyaka. So the ultimate purpose is for the sake of getting the anugraha. Anugraha is the grace of Ishvara, Bhagavad Anugraha. And then as a corollary to that, to obtain true mental peace, manashanti. This manashanti, in spite of a lot of challenges that come in our daily living, in spite of all those things, just like in an ocean, there is turbulence only in the surface of the ocean. But you go a little deeper into the ocean, it is completely tranquil. So like that, a person who internalizes the Veda mantras, chants it, bypasses argumentation, and then experiences it, will get both anugraha of Ishvara, Bhagavad Anugraha, and also manashanti. And to symbolize that from zero to infinity, this Bhagavad Anugraha and Manashanti is given. The Chamaka Prashna starts with identifying two deities, Agni and Vishnu. So it starts with Agna Vishnu Sajosha Se Mavardhantu Vangiraha. Agni and Vishnu. In the Vedic Devatas, Agni is the youngest of all. And Vishnu is the oldest of all. So we start with taking the youngest concept, which is energy. Agni is energy, fundamental, basic. And then Vishnu, the sustainer. Between this only, all experiences and matter is there. And thus we will see in the Chamaka Prashna a very beautiful exposition on matter and how it is used. And then in the end, there is a Shanti mantra, and that Shanti mantra is where we say that now I have understood this. I will actually generate sweetness all around me. Madhu janishye. I will generate sweet thoughts in others also. Madhu manishye. I will speak sweetly, Madhavakshyami. Not only I will speak sweetly with the outside world, I will be sweet to even my own family, my own close people, Madhuvadishyami. And oh Lord, please bring from within me that sweetness, Madhumatim Vachamudyasam. And somebody has to approve that I have lived well. So we ask our forefathers to say, having taken birth in your family, I seek, they applaud the acceptance of my forefathers, Pitaraha Anumadantu. So with that beautiful Shanti mantra, our study will conclude. And this is what we will be doing in the winter 25 quarter.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me launch a quick poll. Let's see if just let us know if you're interested in the course, and I'll drop a quick details of the course in the chat. I did that earlier, but I'll do it again. The class is called Vedic Chanting, Chamaka Prashna. It's going to be on Tuesdays. It's going to be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be about an hour and a half. So that's Wednesday morning India time. It's going to start on January 14th. It's going to go for about 11 weeks, and the last class is going to be March 25th. So please let us know if you're interested in enrolling in the course. And we can take last few questions, comments,
That's great,
suggestions.
Mahalakshmi ji. Yeah, Ashwat ji, there was a question about a shloka on health. I gave a very generic answer that there is not one shloka fits all kind of answers to such questions. I mean, we should be reaching out to a proper guru acharya to find solutions for our specific problems. But if you would like to give some words on that.
Correct. So for specific problems, there are specific mantras and there are specific shlokas. So that is something that you please approach the right person for that. And incidentally, there is a possibility that in late January and February, I will be in India, and mostly I will be based in Bangalore. So if any of you in the assembly who are in India would like to reach out to me, most welcome. My email ID is shri.ashwat@hua.edu. So you can actually send me an email. And then I have been invited by University of Delhi to give a talk, and there are a few centers in India I will be speaking. So if I happen to be in your town, it will be nice that I can even meet you in person. Thank you.
Also, actually, we have a retreat coming up where Ashwat ji will be teaching us again Vedic mantras, not the same ones at that course, something different, something to do with Sanskrit. If you guys are in and around Florida, do check our website, and I think you guys can be a part of the retreat, Sanskrit retreat that's happening on 26, 27, 28, 29 of December.
On the 26th, we call it as Veda Ghosha.
Veda Ghosha, and
Veda
yes.
Ghosha.
So we will be doing a loud announcement of Veda from our HUA campus in Florida. And so you guys can meet Ashwat ji there in person if you live in and around Florida and can travel to Orlando.
Yeah, this is an in-person retreat. It's called residential camp, Sanskrit retreat, and there's some Sanskrit terms as well. But it's also a chance to see the campus, visit. We have accommodations, sattvic food, all of that stuff is going on there. It'll be an exciting opportunity to meet Sri Ashwat ji in person and learn. So that could be if you're, like Jyotiji said, in the area, it might work out well if you can join that. But who is Mahalakshmi ji? Thank you for already signing up for the course. That is amazing. Glad that you were able to do that already. We have the poll open. Only about 20 people have filled it out of the 60 people here. So if you don't see the poll, it's all right if you're not interested in the course. Just click the no, let us know. Yes, no, maybe, right? Appreciate that.
And I do have one more dream, hopefully it will come true, of having Vedic chanting retreats in our campus.
Definitely, Ashwat Garu, it will happen. Ishvara himself is doing the Sankalpa, so yes.
Yeah. It is Shiva Sankalpa.
Shiva Sankalpa, so yes, it's going to happen. S. Lingam Garu has asked, the mantra Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, could the full explaining of the mantra be done in this webinar? I don't know. Maybe you could answer that.
I invite you to go to Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, where Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutanam Yantrarudhani Mayaya is the verse. So
Yes.
the general meaning is of all the beings, Sarva Bhutanam, Ishvaraha, the Lord, Hriddeshe, in the heart region. He sits, but the heart, Hridaya, in Sanskrit, is not the muscle that we are talking about. The etymology of the word Hridaya is Hridi Ayam Tishtati Iti Hridayam. The locus where Ishvara is Hridaya. But however, we always say Hridaya is in our chest region. It is because even if you don't know Sanskrit, even if you don't know, if your language is totally different, suppose you want to say that some object is yours, where does your hand go if you want to show in gesture? Suppose you want to say this is mine, and you don't want to say, but you want to show in a gesture, it always goes to the heart region. And therefore, the sages said, Hridaya, this is where Ishvara is. When you say this is mine and put your hand on your heart region, it means that it belongs actually to Ishvara. So that is the interpretation of that mantra, of that verse from Bhagavad Gita. Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam. He is actually controlling all the beings, yantrarudhani iva. Just like it is tethered to a machine. Look, there is a fan right up above me. So the fan is now not working because I have not switched it on. But when I switch it on, what does this electricity do? This Ishvara, who is electricity, the fan, physical fan, has no volition. It has to turn. So like that, Ishvara being in the heart will make sure that we all conduct ourselves in a particular way. So whether we are in line with Ishvara or whether we are not aligned with Ishvara determines the outcome. The outcome is mental peace. So again, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam Yantrarudhani Mayaya. Maya is where if we recognize Ishvara, there is peace of mind. If we do not recognize Ishvara, we are bound by the three gunas. That's the meaning. It's fairly elaborate commentary. So we can take it up on another occasion. That one verse itself is adequate for a whole hour webinar.
Okay. As always, it is my pleasure to host these, and Shishyasaji, amazing. You know, again, like you said, you had 50 people in your class last quarter. I'm sure you're going to have a huge enrollment. It's because people are interested and you're such a great teacher. Jyotiji, amazing to have you on. You should be on more of these webinars as well. I know you've taken so many courses. You're really connected in so many ways, and people like, I like hearing from you. I assume other people do as well.
I would like to plug in something. Ashwath Garu brought in a Shiva-Parvati Samvada from which he has quoted. We have at our graduate level, we have a Mahabharata certificate as well as Mahabharata courses, which are a part of MA in Hindu Studies. And in the philosophy section, that is the fourth Mahabharata course, I have to check our website to see the name because I had done it 3 years ago. But that focuses on the Shanti Parvan, and a large section of it is a focus of Shiva-Parvati Samvada, because Shiva-Parvati Samvada is not just about answering one question or two questions. It kind of answers everything related to a human life, starting from Jati Varna, that is a course at HUA, to all the way to how people, husbands and wives should behave, how fathers and sons should behave, how various Yajamana and his should be behaving with his subordinates. We have a lot of questions, but we focus on the philosophical aspect of it. It's a graduate level course. It's not a easy course to do, I would be very honest, but it's an amazing absorbing course. And I know because the Shiva-Parvati Samvada was the section I had focused on for my class. So I know from experience that it's so absorbing, both the Shiva-Parvati Samvada and the Harihara balance that we see in that. I learned from my Mahabharata course that it was Sri Krishna who gave the Shiva 108 of Shiva, which I did not know.
Also the Sahasranama.
Shiva Sahasranama, yes, Shiva Sahasranama, sorry. So that's something I learned, and I was like surprised. Oh, wow, Krishna is the one who is giving Shiva Sahasranama. And then Shiva is the one who says Rama, Shri Rama, Rama, Rameti. So such beautiful things we learn about at HUA, which I am grateful for this opportunity. I would say overwhelmed by and in awe of everything I learn at HUA. But since we are talking about the Chamaka Prashna, I would love to see all of you in that course. A lot of questions I saw here are kind of questions that Ashwarji does answer, address in our class. It's much easier there because we have 11 weeks. We can go a little over time, 5 minutes or 6 minutes over time, answer the questions. I don't think everything is a scope within the scope of this short webinar, which is just 1 hour. We'll soon have Guruji telling us we are 11 minutes over time. So, so
Just to pick up one thread from your observation on Mahabharata, when in the course Introduction to Vedic Ritual, one of the courses I taught, and then by popularity we did, I think, 4 times, and even now I get a email saying that when are we going to repeat that course. When you do the daily Sandhya Vandana, we have got a beautiful shloka we chant, Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya Shivarupaya Vishnave Shivasya Hridayam Vishnuhu Vishnoscha Hridayam Shivaha Yatha Shivamayo Vishnuhu Evam Vishnumaya Shivaha Yathantaram Napashyami Tatha Me Swasti Rayushi. Swasti Ayushi. Vishnu grants us comfort and happiness. Shiva grants us long life. And therefore we consider both of them as one.
there was a non-course related question in the chat about the idol behind me. It's actually a beautiful idol. You guys can see it's called Dokra art. And the specialty of this art is that it's the oldest form of art in the entire world. It's called the lost wax process, in which you mold with the wax, then put the metal, and then the wax melts away. And this is the art form in which you may have heard of dancing girl dolls from Harappan civilization that was made with the same art form. So it's one of the oldest forms of art in India. And this is just a fancy, I call it my guitar Ganesha.
Guitar Ganesha. I was wondering what you're gonna call it. It's cool. Jituji, yes, an excellent presentation. Teresa says the art is beautiful. She's looking at it. Teresa, we would love to have you join our courses once you finish your studies in Ayurveda and integrative medicine. Alekhya ji, yes, thank you for inspiring us. Shriyasoji, she's making that comment. Just enrolled for the course. Great to hear it. Thank you. It's going to be a wonderful quarter next quarter. We're going to end this quarter strong. Thank you all for joining and being a part of it. As always, my pleasure. Do we want to end on a mantra?
I'll let Jyotiji to conclude with the mantra, Shanti mantra.
My bad chanting skills are going to be on display now. I was actually hoping for the one that I love the most, Devi Suktam, because I actually was able to live it when I used to chant, but yeah.
No, you can do that too. You can do that too.
No, no, that's okay.
Our audience is still here. Maybe you can have a little water.
I don't have it here.
Okay.
That's the Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Shri Hari Om. Sorry about that. I am coughing a lot. Purnamida Purnamidam Purnamadah Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. I'm sorry I was not able to say it with the right intonation because I am not able to speak. I just laughed, so I'm coughing again.
The Antaryami heard it, so that is important.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you for that, Jyotiji, going through it and soldiering through the little coughing bit that you have. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Shriyasoji, appreciate you so much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you.